See how fucking stupid it is. Okay. As lawmakers debate border, immigrants set to add $7 trillion to the economy. So, this is an older story. It's from February 7th from Huffington Post. And then if I scroll down just a little bit, we'll see that it's error loading. So it's an older story, but I figured, like, they're always on about the border and how scary it is that people are coming to the States. Meanwhile, like, okay, in my opinion, the number one reason you let people into your country is for humanist reasons. It would just be cruel to turn them away. Just let them in, like, let the people live. Like, just leave them be. It's fine. Like, I actually would be okay with open borders. Like, okay. You know, like, maybe not like open, like free for all. Anybody just comes and opens.
Make sure there's a process where you can be like, this person came in recently, so if they do something stupid, we know that they're here.
I mean, even that might be a bit much, but, like, I don't know. I don't have a problem with immigration. I just don't. I can't even conceptualize the problem. Like people say, like, oh, the immigrants are criminals. Like, okay, well, statistically they commit less crime than natural born citizens. And then the children of immigrants commit about the same amount of crime as natural born citizens. So it seems like being born in the States makes you more likely to be a criminal than immigrating to the States. So,
well, and just about every argument somebody can bring about, like, drug cartels, gun cartels, everything like that, we manufacture enough of that shit in the States anyway that there's nothing unique about the border and the people coming across it. That's entirely fair.
My crooked squid. Yeah, no, like, I don't, like, borders are, like, the only thing that I would agree with libertarians on, in that, like, they're kind of arbitrary, and, like, people need to live somewhere. Oh, God, this stupid fucking hat. I hope you're not saying anything terribly profound while I'm adjusting my hat.
No, I wasn't saying anything terribly profound.
Fennec says I can turn the hats off if it's an issue. No, if it was an issue, I would have turned it off myself. I think it's funny. Ideally, I love the idea that, like, someone is watching the edited down version of these videos where, like, I cut out our tangents and put them in their own separate video. So, like, I'll be talking completely seriously about something, and then suddenly I'm still talking completely seriously about this thing, but, like, wearing this. So, yeah, no, I don't need to turn it off. I think it's funny. But, like, nope, that's not what I meant to do. But, yeah, so, like, from a humanist perspective, I'm just like, let people live. Just leave them be. I don't see the problem with immigration. I just don't. And if you disagree with me, and if you think the humanist perspective is not adequate for whatever reason, like just treating people as human beings is for some reason not enough to, like, alter how you treat people at the border, just look at the fact that, like, if you're going to be cold and callous about it, immigrants are just fucking good for the economy. Oh, I'm being asked if the pipe is real. Yeah, so this,
from a per number perspective,
this is a real pipe. I bought it for a gag where, like, I actually, like, dipped it in, like, bubble things, and when I blew in it, it, like, blew bubbles out there. But it is technically a real pipe. I could smoke it if I want to, but I don't even know how to. So
fair.
Yeah. So yeah, back to immigration. Yeah,
I like how this much conversation has stemmed from the title.
Yeah. Well, I mean, immigrants are just good for the economy. Like, even if you're going to be cold and callous and be like, oh, well, we shouldn't let them in just out of the goodness of our hearts and recognizing that they're human beings that deserve dignity, you can still let them in because they're good for the economy. Oh, I've lost my highlights. Sometimes I have to refresh because the highlights just go away randomly. There we go. So, yeah, this article was written just after the Senate Republicans killed a border security bill on Wednesday because they said it wasn't tough enough. And while they did that, Congress-owned economists said that immigration is set to add trillions of dollars to the U.S. economy over the next decade.
Damn.
So the finding echoes other economists who say the surge in immigration may have already provided another benefit to the economy by helping it avoid a recession, even as the Federal Reserve hiked interest rates sharply in 2023. So the economy through 2033 was projected to be bigger than previously thought because of the numbers of workers in the labor force would be greater. So more workers doing jobs.
Michelin Gannon says immigration is a great way to bring more workers, which means more labor. Yeah, see, that's the reason why it's a good idea to get rid of a lot of the criminalization where immigration is concerned. Because this funny thing happens where, like, in the construction industry, if somebody is an undocumented worker and they go to work in construction, there's a several $1,000 fine that can be levied towards the employer if one of the workers is found out to be an undocumented worker. Now, why does that fine exist? Fuck if I know. That's really fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it meant to do other than extort money from a person?
Yeah, there are issues with looking at it from an economic perspective because, like, a lot of this is based around the whole, like, immigrants do the jobs that Americans don't want to do. So, like, they're being exploited for their labor is what's happening, which is fucking ridiculous, and it's got all sorts of issues with it. Like, they deserve the same protections that citizens get. But whatever, I don't know. That's a related issue, but, like, I don't know. I just feel like it would be better for everybody if you just let the people that are illegal immigrants in the country just be legal. So CBO director Philip Swagel told reporters that the economy through 2033 was projected to be bigger than previously thought because the number of workers in the labor force would be greater. I feel like I just read that, so I will move on. The labor force in 2033 is larger by 5.2 million people than previously expected, mostly because of higher net immigration. More workers means more output, and that in turn leads to additional tax revenue. So this is another thing, is that, like, illegal immigrants pay taxes. Legal immigrants pay taxes. You let people into your country, they get a job, they work, they pay taxes. That's a good thing. Like, they're not leeching off the system. They are contributing to the system. And I don't know if this is still true. I don't remember where I read it, so take this with a grain of salt. But I seem to recall reading that illegal immigrants actually pay more in taxes than citizens do.
Is it because they can't get things like returns anywhere near as easy?
Yeah, probably.
Like, that's the only reason I could see that.
Probably, but I feel like the IRS is separate from immigration stuff because, like, there's a lot, like, there's a line that you can fill out on your tax return where it's like, enter an amount here for, like, money that you received from your illegal activities. So, like, as long as you declare that you're receiving income from your illegal activities, the IRS is going to leave you alone, and they're not going to pass that information on to law enforcement. So, like, I could see how, like, an illegal immigrant would, like, still be paying taxes because the IRS wants to fucking get theirs.
I can't conceive of the type of person, though, who, when doing their taxes, looks at a box that says, how much did you make from illegal activities and is honest on it. That's
not the wording on the box. I don't know. You're an American. You do American taxes more than I do. I'm just, like, this is a thing that I read sometime, so I might be wrong on that.
So you think I do my tax? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I have been sitting on my TurboTax page for the past, like, 2 weeks because I'm scared to do them.
I have this whole bin of papers is receipts that I have not yet scanned that I need to put in my taxes. And I think in Canada, like, I should know this, but our due date's not April 15th. I think it's April 30th. I could be wrong on that. If I'm wrong on that, then I'm fucking screwed because it's the 10th and I haven't started yet. I might just this year do scan all my receipts and pay like $600 to an accountant to be like, hey, just do this for me.
Yeah, my thing is I don't have any of the physical receipts. I have to go into PayPal and look at the transaction history.
Well, most of that is medical receipts.
Oh, so yeah, no, I have to. So I have to go in and find every time like me and Saki have gone out to lunch and talked about work because we're
So-
both streamers. Anytime that I went out with anybody, whenever I've been out at like conventions, because that's all networking. Uh, every Magic the Gathering card because of the MTG channel, and it's just too much, too many thing.
So Progress Only is saying don't pay for TurboTax. Cash App taxes is free for everything. Does that include businesses? Because like my understanding is that like in Canada, TurboTax is free if you have a simple tax return where you just input your employment income.
TurboTax costs about $180 if you have a 1099. And since I have 3 1099s,
your pricing structure is different than ours because ours is just like if you're just an employee and you only have like employment income, it's free. But like if you have a business, it's this cost, and if you have a corporation, it's this cost, and like.
No, ours is if you have like one 1099, it's like $70, and it's like 130 to 180 or so if you have more. And since I have to input 3 1099s, I've got to input the one from Twitch, the one from Patreon, and the one from YouTube.
And then Progress Only says it is my wife files a Schedule C. I don't know what a Schedule C is. Anyway, back to the article. As a result of those changes in the labor force, we estimate that from 2023 to 2034, GDP will be greater by about $7 trillion, and revenues will be greater by about $1 trillion than they would have been without the immigrants. So over that period, the U.S. economic output is expected to be about $352 trillion, according to CBO. So that means that immigration accounts for about 2% of the U.S. economic output in that time period, which is simultaneously not enough that if you are one of these conspiracy nut jobs who believes in the Great Replacement Theory, that's not something you need to worry about because it's 2%. That's not a lot. But at the same time, 2%.
You don't understand.
2%,
it's 2%, but 2%, it's exponential.
Well, 2% of $352 trillion is a fuck ton. Like $7 trillion. Like that's more money than fucking Elon Musk has. You add Elon Musk to Jeff Bezos, that's more money than they both have. Like that's a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. And this is one of those things where like you shouldn't really discount this, and like letting immigrants into the country, good for the economy.
But see, that requires
it's almost as much money as Elon lost on Twitter.
That requires looking at numbers and understanding what those numbers mean. And Vice, that's just complicated.
It is.
That's just complicated.
Republicans have sought to tie the issues together after previously balking at the approved. Oh yeah, so one of the border bills had bundled in with it support for Ukraine. So the final bill negotiated by Senators James Lankford, Chris Murphy, and Kristen Sinema. Fuck Kristen Sinema.
Looks like it was rejected as insufficient after Donald Trump pressed them to kill. Oh, so this is a person who's not in power and should have no influence over our politics anymore, still having influence over our politics. That is fantastic.
So someone sent a super chat, and I got the notification for it, but I'm not seeing it in my chat. So I'm sorry for not reading it out. I'm sure it'll show up eventually, and I will read it when that happens. But yeah, no. Trump is influencing policy even while he has effectively no power. Well, ostensibly no power is the word I was looking for.
Loki says, can we make it a law that the only thing that goes into a bill should be directly related? Yeah, that's what France does.
Yeah,
I would like that too here. I would like the elimination of pig fat. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be nice. Oh, there's 2 comments on the bill now. Scott Dillahunt was the second comment. Thank you, Scott.
I'm going to run to the restroom real quick.
Okay, you do that. I will try and look up the, apparently it was a Stream Elements donation. So I should log into Stream Elements to figure that out. I thought it said Super Chat. But hey, what do I know? Remind me later. I don't want to do stuff now. Activity feed. Nothing. Because I logged into the wrong account, apparently. Oh, I love this. This is so much fun. Just logging into my Stream Elements account so I can see whether or not someone sent me money. Remind me later. I'm sure that's important. Yeah, it's not really saying anything. The last thing was Eve the Succubus subscribed. Oh wait, is this my Twitch or my YouTube? I don't know. It's so fucking confusing. Okay, well, I just got an email that somebody sent me something in PayPal. So I assume that was a Stream Elements thing. Okay, let's try Twitch. And that's a hydrate. So now you're making me drink. Oh, yeah, there we go. $20 from one tip. Activity feed. It was Saki Tanuki says the fact that we could have return free filing, but TurboTax and H&R Block lobbied to make that impossible is a national tragedy. Okay, that was worth digging in for. But yeah, the tax system is difficult on purpose, specifically so that the companies that do people's income tax returns can make money off of doing it for them, because like it could just be an automatic thing that happens for most people because
I lived, bitch.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, because employment income tax stuff is so simple, it would be super duper easy for income tax refunds to just be an automatic thing that happens that you don't need to file, unless you like own a business or something. So, yeah, that would be ideal, but it don't happen.
It'd be ideal if tax companies didn't lobby to overcomplicate taxes.
Yeah, that's what the $20 super chat thing was.
Ah.
So I found it eventually. So yeah, on top of everything, allowing immigrants into the country provides a needed pressure release for an economy at or close to full employment. So the unemployment rate has been below 4% for 24 straight months through January. That's not because companies don't want to hire workers, or it's not because everybody. It's not because there aren't enough jobs or whatever. Like companies, if they could hire more people, they would. So if you add immigrants into the mix, there's more people to hire, so companies can expand, and that is better for the economy. Strong immigration has supported labor supply, which means given the strong demand for labor, that the economy can grow more strongly without generating inflationary pressures. So that's another thing. Allowing immigration helps fight inflation. Oh, we got a new hats off person. This is Liz Kriz.
And all of that information will be summarily ignored by anybody who's writing a law about it.
Got my fascinator. Yeah, no.
Aw, you're so fancy.
So fancy. My partner actually got mad at me the first time I put this on. It was when we were going, I don't know, we went to the theater or something. God damn it. She's gonna be so happy to see me struggle. There we go. That's good enough. But yeah, we went to the theater or something. She had a fascinator, and I jokingly just threw it on my head, and she got so mad at me because I had positioned it absolutely perfectly on my first try just by randomly throwing it in, whereas before we had gone to the theater, she was trying for 5-10 minutes to get it positioned just right, just like I was just struggling with it now. So it was very frustrating to her that I was able to just go yoomp and it was perfect.
It's just made for you.
Yeah. So yeah, strong immigration lowers inflation, so that's a good thing. The influx of immigrants would also boost the size of the so-called prime age labor force, workers from age 25 to 54. But it also said it would be expected to decrease wages in low-paid occupations and slow productivity growth as capital would be divided among more workers. So that's where the exploitation thing kind of comes in, where it fucking sucks that the jobs that immigrants get are all the hard labor jobs that are extra dangerous that Americans just don't want to do. Like, they end up getting exploited in those jobs. I would like to see protections for them in those jobs.
That first requires us to be able to talk about those jobs in a legal way without people having to worry about thousands of dollars in fines.
Yeah.
Like,
good way to do that.
A lot of this stuff is way easier in the world where we can actually deal with it. This is like when do you remember when California stopped making it a felony to knowingly give AIDS to another person? They instead turned it to a misdemeanor.
I don't remember that.
Okay, so California changed it from a felony to a misdemeanor to knowingly knowingly transfer AIDS from one person to another. The reason that it was a felony to begin with is they were worried about people, going, I have AIDS, I'm going to seek revenge on the world, I'm going to go fuck a bunch of people, and then suddenly they've got AIDS. But what they found was happening was that people refused to go get tested because the way the law was worded, you had to know that you had it. So this funny thing happens when you keep certain things illegal and keep certain punishments on things that are currently illegal. You make it impossible to tackle other issues that are related to it. So, like, you can't tackle protections for workers who are in here and are either like haven't quite gotten a visa or anything like that yet. You can't tackle protections for them yet until you've settled the problem of making it easier for them to immigrate here in the first place. Because with California, they found, these people are unable to go get tested because getting tested means that they know, and if they know, they spread AIDS more often. And now by creating this law, we've actually increased the spread of AIDS in the state.
We've incentivized the spreading of AIDS. Yeah. So Balthazar 228 says, as Esteban Colbert once said, even the invisible hand of the free market isn't willing to pick beans, in his testimony before Congress. Yeah. That's seems accurate.
But
also, like, I've been listening to Opening Arguments again, legal podcast. Thomas Smith, we interviewed him a couple weeks ago. His co-host is actually an immigration lawyer, and so they will often talk about stuff like this, about how, like, there are lots of immigrants out there who they are in a status limbo sort of thing, where, like, they're allowed to stay in the country, but they're not allowed to work. It's like, okay, what do you expect them to do? What, like, are they supposed to just be independently wealthy? It's ridiculous. When combined with the surge in productivity growth, this supply-side expansion permitted inflation pressures to ease without a dramatic loss in output growth. So there you have it. The way to solve an inflation crisis is to endure an immigration crisis, which I would argue isn't even a crisis. Is just people looking for a better life, and we should let them have it.
Cybershield in Match Chat said that it's apparently now illegal to buy a homeless person a meal in Georgia, at least without at least is what their parents tell them. Cybershield, this is one of those weird situations where your parents are actually correct. In Atlanta, police officers, if you are handing out meals to the homeless, police officers will ticket you if you do not have a proper permit.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Yep.
Then they say, of course, one can run the experiment in reverse, as would presidential candidate Trump, and cut off immigration, he added. The result would be much, much slower labor force growth and a return to the sharp trade-off between inflation pressures and the outlook for growth. So, like, you know how everybody's complaining that, like, oh, Biden is causing inflation? It's like, yeah, well, Trump wants to cut off immigration. Immigration curbs inflation. So, like, it would get worse under Trump. And remember, this is just from the cold-hearted, I only care about economic performance standpoint. So like,
So you mean the only argument that would appeal to these people?
As dry pussy aficionado Ben Shapiro likes to say, facts don't care about your feelings, and the facts are that immigration is good for the economy. And if
Rainey says, I bet you can sell food without a permit? No, you can't do that.
If you're a humanist, then like the fact is that it's better for these people to not send them back to a country where they'll likely be murdered. It's like people don't make the journey here on foot in the caravans that Fox News fearmongers about because they just like want to come here to commit crimes. They make that journey because they are desperate and want a better life. And again, facts don't care about your feelings. Immigrants commit less crimes than native-born citizens. Like per capita, like this is adjusting by population size. Per capita, immigrants commit fewer crimes than citizens. So just fucking let them in. And
Jake said they would fight the tickets all the way up to the Supreme Court if you had the money to do so, and the time, and the spoons.
Yeah, that is not a cheap process, no. Lawyers are fucking expensive. You know how much money has been spent on lawyers in my household just to like do shit like, hey, can we have the kids' winter coats back, please? It's ridiculous. That's a whole other can of worms, though. So moving on, we're gonna end on kind of a funny note.
Oh,
Trump has hawked himself to the repo man. So again, this is a bit of an older article. There have been developments since then, or since this. So this comes to us from the New Republic. But I like this one because like it goes into just most of the news coverage that's recent doesn't really go into just how sketchy the company that is underwriting Trump's bond is. It's a loan shark. Trump is getting a loan from a loan shark for his bond. Like that's how desperate he is.
Maybe he's considering that he'll die at this point before he'll have to pay it back.
Maybe, but there's also some interesting things in their contract where like, you know, they're guaranteeing the loan but also not. Like part of the contract is, yeah, it's actually Trump that's responsible for it, not us, which like completely defeats the purpose of having them underwrite it. I don't know. It's weird. So when a business lends money to a guy who A, routinely stiffs his creditors, and B, may become president within the next 9 months, that merits a certain amount of scrutiny.
Yeah.
So
just a bit.
Yeah, there's Chubb. I don't know what Chubb is. I think it's a company or whatever. They're the guys that did the $91 million bond for the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit, which Trump is going to lose on appeal. But that drew so much unfavorable press for them that it probably persuaded Chubb's chairman, Evan Greenberg, to not back the second $454 million bond, though apparently he gave it serious thought. Now the world is asking why Knight Specialty Insurance stepped in to back into New York civil fraud case the second bond, which an appeals panel reduced from $454 million to $175 million. Trump will likely lose that appeal too. Knight Specialty Insurance is a unit of Los Angeles-based Knight Insurance Group whose chairman is Don Hankey.
That is an unfortunate name.
Yeah, he's engaging in a little bit of hanky-panky here with his numbers. Mm-hmm. Then they go into like comparison about net worth, so who fucking cares about that shit? But Forbes calls Hankey the little-known king of the subprime car loans. So yeah, they said Westlake Financial Services, which is another one of Hankey's companies, charges interest on car loans to low-income people at 19% or higher. So that's credit card rates.
Yeah.
Like, for comparison, my car loan right now is at like, I think it's 9%, and I thought that was high when I got it. So yeah, and they repossess about 250 cars per day, that's a lot of cars. They were also not listed by Trump's lawyers as one of the 30 companies that Trump approached to back the bond when it was $454 million. All of the companies that he approached said no. Hankey told Forbes that he actually called Trump a few days before the bond was lowered to $175 million, which suggests that when Trump lawyers told the appeals court that meeting the $454 million bond was a practical impossibility was not entirely true. Trump's lawyers may have been lying. I know that's shocking.
Trump's lawyers specifically lying,
but like this
but
guy,
he has such a good track record. He had Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, like this guy was calling Trump, offering him a bond before it was lowered to 175 million. So I'm like, I know that's crazy that they would lie about that. And he said, I'd say it's more of a business decision, but I happen to be a supporter also. Wonder why a subprime lender would be a supporter of Donald Trump over Joe Biden. Could it be the lack of regulations that Trump favors?
It's hard to say. What was that old quote about the person? People who are dangerous tend to have a tend to have people around them that are new all the time. They don't have like an established group of people. I don't remember the exact words, but it was like it was words that were meant to describe someone who was fascist, and then it followed up with, I'm also describing current President Donald Trump back when he was president.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious in his brain what his selection process is for people. Like, is it just, are they sycophantic enough, whether or not they have the skills to do things like defend him in court without, lying?
It's interesting that you bring that up because initially when they filed for the bond, it was rejected because it turns out that the company that is securing it, Hankey's company, is not licensed in New York to do that sort of thing. So they were like missing a good chunk of the paperwork.
Oh, and that's not somebody you want doing this.
If this was anyone other than Donald Trump, that would have been the end of it. It'd be like, nope, bond rejected. I'm starting to repossess all your shit now. Or like Letitia James would be like, yep, nope, I am now taking possession of Trump Tower, or like whatever they owned. If it was not Donald Trump, that's what would have happened. But because it is Donald Trump, they give him special treatment, and they're like, actually, you need to fill out this paperwork, and then it'll be okay.
You just need to do this the right way, and then we'll let bygones be bygones. Like that.
Yeah.
But if he's doing a thing that is effectively criminal, why are you okay just giving him slaps on the wrist? Especially when one of the benefits to a Trump presidency that has been hawked over and over and over again is that he's hard on crime. Like, he's a hard on crime president.
He's got a hard on for crime, all right. Yeah. So this is also not the first time Hankey has lent money to Trump, although it's a different company. Access Financial lent him money for several different things before. And like Westlake Financial Services, the car thing, Axos, the other company that lent Trump money before, typically lends money in ways that like to small businesses at cripplingly high double and triple digit effective annual interest rates. Triple digit, that's 100% annual interest rate. It's a fucking loan shark. And that's at least 100%.
That's where you end up paying your loan back 15 times over, and they're just like, look, I'm sorry about what we're gonna have to do to your family if you don't pay a little more. You understood exactly what we were asking when we had our conversation. We bailed you out, so we had your back. Now you gotta have ours, or unfortunate things are gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. So Hankey has extensive experience lending money to high-risk borrowers, but Trump is his first high-risk ex-president. So with an appeal bond, the lender doesn't protect himself against risk by charging high interest, but by charging a large fee up front. And this might actually be why a lot of the other companies were rejected him. Not necessarily because of the amount of the bond, but because if they didn't charge him enough, that could be considered an illegal campaign contribution. Which I'm not entirely sure how that works. I assume that whoever wrote this article did their homework on that one. So if I'm wrong, blame the article, not me.
It could be the fun middle ground where technically the person who wrote the article is correct, but also it will never matter
Yeah.
Like all of the other things that Trump was able to do illegally and just it never mattered.
Yeah, so they say, indeed, it would be risky for Hanke to charge Trump too little because that might be construed as an illegal campaign contribution comparable to the hush money payoffs for which Trump goes to trial later this month. That wrinkle is one of the many reasons that most surety firms are telling Trump thanks but no thanks. So what do Trump's latest benefactors stand to gain in return? We can only speculate, but Hanke and Axos previously had reason to be grateful under Trump. The Office of the Comptroller of Currency enacted 2 regulations that allowed lenders to bypass state interest rate caps. So Trump has a track record of enacting policies that allow these guys to charge ridiculous interest rates. So...
And now
suddenly they're willing to give him money for
rates.
Yeah. Well, no, but now they're suddenly willing to give him all this money for his trials or whatever. I'm assuming because like if he becomes president again, he will then, this will be a quid pro quo thing where like he will continue to enact regulation or lack thereof that allows them to extort their customers. So yeah, no, I don't quite understand this last bit. There's a lawsuit with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau against these companies where, that's another hat. Fuck off with the hats.
You set it up.
Santa hats. Yes, I did. So a judge... Wasn't it?
Man, I remember. I think it was Paula Gia who said, "Don't put up anything in your channel that you won't be willing to support full time."
Yeah, no, I will do my hats full time. So a judge put the case on hold pending a Supreme Court ruling on whether the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau ought to even exist. Trump appointed 3 reactionary justices to the High Court, and if he wins the second term, he could appoint, by some calculations, as many as 4 more. So that's all of them. Basically. Well, no, that's 7 of 9, which, no, I'm not going to say that because 7 of 9 is fucking awesome. But it is 7 out of 9.
Jesus.
Yeah, Jerry Ryan is very much anti-Trump. She's the actress who played 7 of 9 on Star Trek Voyager. I feel like you're not picking up what I'm laying down.
No, I'm not.
You're losing your nerd cred.
I haven't seen Star Trek Voyager.
Oh God! What's really funny is that Janeway is the captain in Star Trek who makes the biggest deal about coffee, and they recently launched a like Star Trek themed coffee thing, and they didn't include Janeway as like one of the coffee blends. It's like, the one captain known for her that would be like releasing an Earl Grey tea blend and not
without
including Picard as the person.
I feel like that's what happens though when you get corporations sponsoring stuff, not fans creating stuff.
Yeah, Cisco's Earl Grey. Yeah, that would be an atrocity. But yeah, so if he gets all these Supreme Court justices, they will rule in these companies' favor to charge ridiculous interest rates and basically punish poor people for being poor while making themselves rich in the process. But also, like, there was a thing with the with this thing where like part of the contract was that they're actually not accepting liability. It's still all on Trump. They're just like, they're in spirit, basically. I don't know. It's weird.
We're praying for you, Trump.
It is fucking weird. I don't understand how it's even legal. And, there's a hearing on April 22nd that Engeron is going to determine whether or not that's actually a legitimate thing, like whether or not this company can do that for him. I'm assuming the answer is going to come back no, unless they change quite a bit about how they're doing it, because right now it's ridiculous. And I really have to pee, so now it's your turn to entertain the audience.
Oh, okay.
I will leave my dumpling for you.
I am very appreciative of you leaving the dumpling for me. Hello, dumpling that is there. Do you speak?
Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Nixie-chan, the Oberon team, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.